Okay, we've got to, you saw that last video, I just showed how to sand a door, and I sanded just this one particular door. And it might be unorthodox. I don't know if painters use a sanding pad and a little paddle like this. That's what I used. And the sandpaper, I just use this regular sandpaper. This is 100 grit. This is drywall plaster. See, you put it on a sanding pole like that, or a paddle like that. And this is 100 grit, and there was 30 of these in here. And I only used a couple of them. That's all I used. That thing works really good. Okay, now that I've got them sanded, we're gonna have to wipe them all down. And before I start painting for real, I'm gonna go around and hit spots like this. These were little bubbles that sticking out of the door. And where the closet doors were, see that black up there? I'm gonna have to fix those things. I'm gonna look on these doors. There was a couple that had some gouges in them. I'm gonna have to fill that up. I'm just gonna use some caulking, some white caulking. But if you really wanted to do it good, you could use plumber's putty, you could use spackle, sand it down, you could use Durham's rock hard water putty, put that on there, sand it and stuff. But you got to remember, depending where your hole is or whatever, you've got ridges in here. This is kind of like a fake wood grain. So the paint's really going to stick good to this anyways. Okay, see all those ridges on there? The paint's going to grab in between all that. So I'm just going to use a little. See, like right there, I'll probably put a little caulking there. And I ended up pulling out all these because we got some new ones for that. And because I'm only putting one coat of paint on here, so any little marks that I see, you know, like that, I'll put just a little bit of paint on. And if you wanted, you could use some Kills paint, but I'm just going to use the paint that I'm going to put on these particular doors. See where there's a mark there? I'll just put a little bit on with the brush. See on the top of this door here, it looked like they had something hanging over this thing. And I'll look at stuff like that. See, there's another spot up there. Around these door hinges too. They had the hinges on here and the painter caulked all of these. I have no idea why they did that. And it's on the back side of the hinges. And here's the old hinges we pulled off. And each one has a line of hard caulking that's been on there for 9 years. You try to scratch that off and try to save these hinges. This gets all scratched up and there's paint on here and stuff. And we decided to replace all the hinges, and we got them over at Home Depot, $2.37 each. But see, when we get ready to paint, I'm gonna have to put a little paint on there first, aren't I? Because if I put a full coat of, just one coat of paint on here, this might show right there. Okay, so I'm probably gonna have to hit each one of those. That's gonna, you know, I might take the mini roller out and go on those. Now on these doors, these are closet doors, but see here's a door, and if I flip it around, I'm trying to do this on the fly here for you, trying to hold the video camera. You see here, the same thing on the door edge, huh? And see, on each one of those, it was all black and grimy from the hinge pin spitting out dust and stuff. We had to clean all that stuff off because the paint wouldn't stick to that. There's a lot going on these doors. You want to prep them properly to get the new paint to stick good. You don't want to just take the doors off and say, I'll just paint right over everything. No, you don't want to do that. Spend a little bit of extra time on it and do things right. Okay? All right. So I'll do that, and then I'll have to set these up because I've got some craft paper I'm going to put down and get everything all set up. And I'll show you little bits and pieces along the way, but I'm not going to show you everything on this. This is not an hour-long video on painting all of these doors, but anyways, once once I get the paintbrush out and the roller, then we've got to get in here where this is. We're going to have to paint this with the paintbrush. Okay? Can't get in there with the paint roller, can I? With all here you got a ridge here. This curves in. Then there's this dadoed ridge here. So I'm going to have to paint all that with the paintbrush first. Boom, 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 boom. See, every single door's got one of those, huh? Top and bottom panel. Good grief, that's going to take a while in itself. And we'll hit those all first. We'll do all of the doors, and then we'll go ahead and flip all the doors around and do the other side. And then by that time, we can flip them again, and this will be dry enough for us to start putting the roller on there. So there's lots of steps on this because these are not solid flat doors. Kind of like this garage door. See this garage door? This is nice and flat. That would have been an easy one to paint, huh? But see, all these other ones, we're going to have to do it this other way. Now, somebody might say, oh, just rent a sprayer, Joe. Just spray it. Well, yeah, well, if you've never used a sprayer before, you're going to be in for a very big surprise. Because if you don't put this paint on nice and smooth and even, you're going to see spray marks where it's too thick, where it's too light, where you've got a run, where you didn't get enough over here on the edge, where you've got paint all over the walls, down on the floor, and you got runs down on the hinge, below the hinges because you put too much on, and you got some spots you missed. Once you miss something, you can't just go back and put a little bit more. You've got to do the whole door again. We even had some professional painters paint our doors at our house, and if you look at them close, I can pick them apart. And these guys are professional painters, and they went around and sprayed everything, and I can still see stuff that they missed. I can see some runs on the backside of some of the doors, and in fact, I even made them respray like 3 different doors. The garage door was hideous. I pointed it out to the guy and said, I can't, I'm not buying that. Forget it. You're going to have to spray it again. And I showed him 2 other doors in the house. He didn't even say a word. He knew he screwed up. And so I'm not doing any of that. I'm not renting anything. I don't know how to run a sprayer, but I know how to run a roller. And I can do it good, a mini roller. And when I get done with these doors, they're going to look really good. And I won't have had to have paid anybody for it. And all I had to do was go buy the paint. And we ended up painting all the door frames inside the house and all the baseboards. See, here's all the door frames. Momi actually painted all these door frames, and she painted all the baseboard on her own. I was pretty proud of her doing that. And I painted all the walls, so I ended up having her paint all this and had her be real careful along the edge. But if she got any on the wall, I wasn't too concerned, because then I had to cut in the wall anyway. So when I cut in the wall to the trim, went right over the white paint, and it went down just fine. As a matter of fact, you know what? I thought I was all done with the paint, and I can see I missed 1 bit from here up. You see that? From there up to there. I thought I was all done with the cut in, and I don't know. You see there? I missed this one particular door, and hey, I'll get it. That's on touch up. I'll have to remember that. That's funny. I think that's the only door that I missed when I did all my cut in. But anyways, enough of that. Onward with my door project. Painting I go. And see, I'm gonna have to be careful with it where the hinges are too. Just that little ledge. You build up too much paint on that, and it will run down here. So I've got to be careful around the hinges. I have to be careful right around this too, so I don't get too much paint drops off here and wants to run there. So there's a few spots I'll have to be careful along here. When I'm going to use a 4-inch mini roller to paint these, and on the flat surface, but not where this groove is. I'm going to have to take a paintbrush and brush all that. When I do that, I'm gonna have to be careful not to build up the edge and have it run. So you just, you know, there's a few common sense things that you're just gonna have to be careful of as you go. Okay, so once I get stuff set up, before I get painted, I'll show you how it looks so that you can do this. Because see, I can't just put drop cloth down or my craft paper and do the roller here, because the roller is going to end up stopping about there before it hits the craft paper, and then I'm not going to get a nice clean edge along the bottom. So that's why I got the 2x4s, and once I cut those, I'll set it up so that you can kind of see, oh, that's how you're going to do it, because I want these doors to mimic being raised up off the floor 1.5 inches, but with nothing there. All nice so that I can just run the roller straight on down. And that's why I'm going to cut these 2x4s in little blocks, and then I'll set up the block so that it's from this edge going back that way on the back side, and it will just prop this up off the ground. I don't want any part of the 2x4 sticking out at the front, you know, one here, one over there. I don't want them sticking out, because then it's going to hit my roller when it goes down, you see? So I'll make it flush or inset behind the edge of the front edge of the door. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to do that until I get the rest of this stuff sanded. Here's some little holes here. I'll have to fill those up, probably with some caulking or something. And I'll do all that before I set all this stuff up on the actual 2x4s. And I should have put the craft paper down first, but I didn't. So when I get ready, I'll push the doors back a little bit and run the craft paper. Then I can set these up, hold them out a little bit, and get it all set up. And then I'll show you what it looks like before I start painting, okay? Well, that's my project today. So if you want to keep watching this video, I'll show you a few things along the way to hopefully make it a little bit easier for you on if you're going to decide to paint your doors. I would never paint these doors in place, by the way, with all the door handles in the way, the latch piece in the way, the hinges in the way, and all that kind of stuff. It's much easier, especially if you're going to do all your doors. Why not just do them, get them out of the house, get them in the garage. These are the closet doors. I'm not going to paint those in place. Forget that. You know, this is going to make it much easier. It's going to look cleaner and all of that. Okay? So here I go.